You are now witnessing the 29th live coverage and watch along on the Indus Corner podcast. You already know who it is. It's your host, the legend Todd Finney himself. Y'all know what the slogan is, no BS boxing. Tonight, I am covering Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. This fight is in Dallas, Texas at American Airlines Arena. This isn't the typical fight that I cover. Jake Paul isn't a real boxer. Nate Diaz, he's an MMA fighter, but both guys got a huge following. Jake Paul has like 20 million subscribers on YouTube. Nate Diaz, he has a huge following as well. So, just gonna get on here and cover this fight and chop it up and talk some boxing. Who shout out to all my peoples in Texas, right in Dallas, got a lot of family in Texas, got a lot of friends. I visited Texas, 2 times in the past couple of years. So who shout out to all my people in Texas, man? Who shout out to my guy Jimmy? Who shout out to my cousin Taya? Who shout out to my cousin Lewis? Who shout out to Adrian? Who shout out to my guy DeMonte, man? We shout out to everybody in Texas, man. All my friends and family that's in Texas holding it down. Definitely gotta get back to Texas, man. For those of you who don't know, I went to Texas to see Virgil Ortiz versus Maurice Hooker. I believe this was 2021. This was at the Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. Awesome experience. I got the opportunity to meet Chris Cyborg. I met Alex Martin, who I interviewed. If you haven't seen that interview with Alex Martin, check that out for sure. But definitely got to get back out to Texas. Yeah, who shout out to the team? Who shout out to my guy, co-host Chris G? Who shout out, G5 and the Goodfellas, Vlog and Shane? Who shout out to those guys? Definitely putting in work over there. Who shout out to my guy Wilton and his team. Last one's at the bar. My guy Wilton, he's out on vacation, man. Wilton, man, I see you doing your thing out there in Brazil, man. Don't party too much though, man. Yeah, definitely subscribe, to the Goodfellas podcast. Definitely subscribe to the Last Ones at the Bar. For sure. We got a lot of boxing news. A lot of news that's been coming out lately. So definitely gonna get into that, once this fight is over. Let me run through these comments. My bud Nikki T in the building. She says, "Hey there." Who shout out to Nikki? Appreciate rocking with me. Mr. Gwilt, Joseph Gwilt's in the building. He says, "I'm in. Appreciate you, Mr. Gwilt. Tuning in." Mr. Gwilt, man, if you can hear me correctly, man, drop a comment. Let me know you can hear me correctly. For this fight, I'm gonna probably go for Jake Paul by stoppage. I can't predict the round, but I'm gonna go for Jake Paul by stoppage. All right, Mr. Grove says he can hear me fine. All right, appreciate it. He says loud and clear. All right, appreciate it. So we're gonna talk some boxing. So, Mr. Grove, what's happening on your end? For me, both guys are in the ring, and Jimmy Lennon Jr., he's making the announcements. All right, Joseph Grove says scar tissue will open and be a problem to stop the fight. Okay. Jake Paul, even though he's not a real boxer, man, even though he's not he's a pro boxer now, but even though he doesn't have no real amateur career, look at what he's done so far. He's put down Tommy Fury, even though he lost the fight, he dropped Tommy Fury. He's dropped Anderson Silva, one of the best UFC fighters out there. He dropped Tyron Woodley. So, he's putting down, fighters. So that speaks on his power. Jake Paul does have real power. So we'll see what happens with this fight. And, I was watching Nate Diaz backstage, doing the mic work and pad work. Man, he didn't look so great, man. But at the end of the day, he's not a real boxer. So Nikki T, she says, I don't know this guy, so I have no choice tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jake Paul by stoppage. Like I said, Jake Paul's got more experience as far as actually boxing. So this is Nick Diaz's first time actually being in the boxing ring. So Nikki T, she says same. Joseph Grill, he says, I am at the same time point. Okay. So both of y'all are saying the same things. Okay, I just want to make sure, my stream wasn't a little slower because, as usual, when I cover these fights, my stream's a little slower than everybody else's. So, yeah, also the Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, they showed the replay of the fight tonight. And also the all access finale that also they showed that too. So if you haven't seen the all access finale with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, check that out. You definitely got to talk about this Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. Definitely, a one-sided, victory for Terrence Crawford. Definitely a one-sided fight, man. Mr. Good says, not a normal fighter starting their career. They have to work a job and hard to get good trainers and food. He is already a millionaire, can put all the time in. Best food, supplements, trainers. All right. So, and the finest of juices. That's funny. All right. So for me, round one is get ready to start. I believe this is a 10-round fight. So it's a 3-minute. It's a 3-minute 10-round fight. So Jake Paul is coming out using his footwork. Ooh, nice shot to the body by Jake Paul. Both guys spilling each other out. Nate Diaz doesn't look very fast. Ooh, big hook, big right hook and left hook thrown by Jake Paul. Left hook landed. Ooh, nice shot to the body by Jake Paul. Ooh, big right hook thrown by Jake Paul. Ooh, Jake Paul's coming out fine. Jake Paul's letting his hands go. Ooh, Jake Paul's throwing big hooks. He's coming out fine. Double jab by Jake Paul. Ooh. I think Nate Diaz is hurt. Nice shot to the body by Jake Paul. Wow. I don't think this fight's going to last long at all. Nate Diaz trying to clinch. Nate Diaz doesn't look like he got the best legs either. Both guys in the clinch. Nate Diaz look like he's out of breath. He looks tired already. Both guys in the clinch. They fighting in the clinch. So got 30 seconds left in round one. Looks like Nate Diaz got some puffiness around the eyes. You can tell that Nate Diaz never boxed before. Like his punches are not his punches are not very clean, and he's missing his shots. All right, first round's over. Nikki T said this guy isn't a fighter at all. Yeah, facts. Yeah, Nate Diaz was bad. His eyes already swelling. Uh, Nikki T, she said it's not gonna last. Facts. I don't give Nate Diaz 5 rounds from what I've seen so far in the first round. Nikki T, this guy isn't a boxer. It's about to be over. Facts. Mr. Grunt says nothing in his punches, all on punches. Yeah, he's not. He doesn't have any. He doesn't have any force behind those punches. Nikki T, she said he has no defense. Like I said, man, he's not a real boxer. So, like I said, he does have a huge following. So, I just wanted to get on here, just have some fun while it lasts. Ooh, show the replay. Jake Paul landed a nice shot to the liver. So round 2 starting. Another shot to the body by Jake Paul. Yeah, Nate Diaz doesn't have any power behind his punches. Both guys in the clinch. Nate Diaz do like a right hook, but it was kind of like a smack shot. Nate Diaz letting his hands go, but it's nothing really effective. He's like throwing slapping shots. Like he's not trying to get force behind his punches. To everybody that's tuned in, man, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that like button. Definitely subscribe to the channel. It showed Nate Diaz. He was like, he looked in the crowd as like saying something to the crowd, and he looks real tired. You know what I think is going to happen? I think he's going to run out of gas, and Jake Paul is just going to land a monster shot, just put him out. Jake Paul throwing some big right hooks. It's at 30 seconds left in round 2. Jake Paul uses his footwork. Yeah, Nate Diaz has no power at all behind his punches, man. All right, so Nikki T, she says he doesn't want to fight. Yeah, like I said, he looks tired, and like he walked off and said something to the crowd. So Mr. Grunt says slightly better that round for Nate. Okay, yeah. I'm saying he was throwing a little bit of combinations, but you could tell that he ain't got no power, no force behind those punches. And he was throwing slapping shots. And Jake Paul does have Jay Leon Love in his corner. I'm not a big fan of Jay Leon Love at all. He's just one of those fighters I was never a big fan of. So round three is starting. Right hook followed by uppercut by Jake Paul. Big left hook thrown by Jake Paul. Jake Paul using his footwork. Nice combination to the body. Nick Diaz looked like his eyes starting to get even more puffy. Ooh, big left hook thrown by Jake Paul, landed clean. Looked like Nate Diaz almost went down from that. Uppercut by Jake Paul. Jake Paul using his footwork. Nate Diaz is just throwing a lot of slapping shots. Ooh, another big left foot landed clean by Jake Paul. Uppercut landed clean by Jake Paul. Jake Paul throwing some big hooks in this round. Nate Diaz trying to throw some combinations. Double jab by Jake Paul. Jake Paul using his footwork. Get in these comments. Nikki T, she said, "This is garbage, y'all. I'm falling asleep again. So if you lose me, you'll know why I'm laughing." Yeah. Nikki T, she said Nate slapping her. That's what I said. I'm saying he just throwing slapping punches. Like he got no force or no real power behind his punches. Just all slapping punches. Now his team is working on that eye. Like his eye is like definitely swelling and closing. Yeah, Jake Paul landed a big uppercut in that round. Hey Nikki, did you rewatch? Crawford and Spence? Mr. Grubb says Paul was holding until the ref warned him. Why does he need to hold when nothing of note is coming back? I think he's just trying to toy with Nick Diaz and trying to make the fight interesting. I think he knows he can really get him out of there earlier, but he's just trying to play with him and toy with him, just make the fight more entertaining. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's entertainment. So we're in round 4 now. Clean jabs landed by Jake Paul. Double jab landed by Jake Paul. Right hook thrown by Jake Paul. Both guys in the clinch. Both guys fighting in the clinch. Nate Diaz letting his hands go, but it's nothing really effective. Double jab by Jake Paul. Right hook thrown by Jake Paul. Nate Diaz is throwing a lot of punches and he's letting his hands go, but it's nothing effective. Slapping punches. Slapping punches to the face and to the body. Hey, Joseph, I think you know what I think Jake Paul is doing. I think he's doing the same thing Boots was doing with Ramon Villa. You know, Boots, like, I think he was just trying to make the fight more entertaining, but he can really finish Villa off earlier. I think that's just what Jake Paul is doing in this fight. But I think just like Boots, I think he's eventually going to get a knockout sooner than later. A lot of punches thrown by Nate Diaz, but sloppy, and not effective. All right. Mr. Gwilt says Joe Kazaki style, fast. Yeah, that's how Joe fights for sure. For sure. But hey, Mr. Gwilt, man, what you think about that news? What you think about that news with Dylan White, possibly testing positive, for PDs and the fight with AJ being off. So I wonder what's gonna happen for AJ. I wonder who's gonna be the replacement opponent. Yeah, definitely want to get into that. Again, man, anybody that's tuned in, definitely hit that like button. Definitely subscribe to the channel. Appreciate it. I see E40's in the building. So round 5 is starting for me. Double jab by Jake Paul. Nice shot to the body by Jake Paul. Jake Paul using his footwork, pushing Nate Diaz off of him. Double jab by Jake Paul. Nate Diaz is tired, man. He's just backing up, not doing anything. It's kind of similar to, like when Floyd fought McGregor, McGregor was out of breath, in the later rounds, and he eventually got stopped. It seemed like that's what happened. That's what's happening with, Nate Diaz. He just, he's starting to gas out because, he's not used to boxing. So Jake Paul using his footwork, big right hook thrown by Jake Paul. Ooh, Jake Paul knocked him down. It looked like it was a left hook. I think he's going to finish him. Nice shot to the body by Paul. Ooh, nice uppercut by Paul. Paul's letting his hands go. You know, one thing, Diaz is doing, he's keeping his hands down. Nice shot to the body by Jake Paul. It's been multiple times in this fight with Diaz, he just walking away with his hands down. Like he just showing signs that he don't want to fight. Uppercut by Jake Paul. Both guys fighting in the inside. 10 seconds left for round 5. And Nate Diaz is he keeps constantly just walking off. All right. Mr. Grubb says Nate down. Yeah, I think it was a left foot that put him down, but I see that replay. Nikki says Nate is going to have to do something spectacular to win at this point. Facts. Mr. Grubb says this must be scripted. Yeah, like I said, I don't know what Nate's doing, man. And like Jake Paul just having fun in there. I think he could have definitely finished him off. Yeah, it was a left hook right to the temple. And it looked like Nate Diaz was getting ready to go out to the ring. Yeah, left hook right to the temple. So Jake Paul has put down Tyron Woodley, Anderson Silva, Tommy Fury. So he's dropping these guys. So round 6 just starting. Another left hook thrown by Jake Paul. Jab to the body by Jake Paul. Ooh, big left hook thrown by Jake Paul. Double jab by Jake Paul. Triple jab. Nate Diaz threw a little combination, nothing effective. Another big left hook thrown by Jake Paul. Both guys in the clinch. Nice little combination thrown by Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz letting his hands go. So he keeps putting his hands down. He just keeps showing signs that he don't want to fight. Another big left foot thrown by Jake Paul. She got 10 seconds left in round 6. Yeah, I think Paul is just toying. He's just toying with Diaz, just trying to make the fight more entertaining. So we got 4 rounds left, and the round 7 is going to be starting soon. Again, man, everybody tuned in, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel, man. Appreciate it. Nikki, she says, Jake looks good, like a veteran boxer. I'm impressed. Yeah, he's definitely good. You know, for a guy that doesn't have no real amateur background, so he's definitely doing his thing, man. Doing his thing in the boxing world. Promoting boxing. So he's definitely doing his thing. He did lose. To Tommy Fury. Who was a real boxer. So, but he's definitely doing his thing, man. So round 7 is about to start. Jake Paul using his footwork, left hook. Jake Paul using his footwork, jabbing from the back foot. Nice shot to the body by Jake Paul. Using his footwork, Jake Paul just dancing around. Slapping shots in the clinch by Nate Diaz. Ooh, nice straight right hand by Jake Paul. Both guys trading combinations. Yeah. Nate Paul doing the same thing. Nate Diaz, he's doing the same thing with these slapping punches. Double jab by Jake Paul. Slapping punches by Nate Diaz. Nice left hook thrown by Jake Paul. Jabbing from the back foot. Both guys trading combinations. Jake Paul actually clinched Nate Diaz. Ooh, nice uppercut thrown by Jake Paul. Nate Diaz throwing a nice combination. Right hook thrown by Jake Paul. This is a more competitive round. I would say this is probably Nate Diaz's best round. Nate Diaz working the body. To me, this is Nate Diaz's best round. He putting his hands up, walking back to his corner. So I guess he really feel like he's in this fight in that round. So round 8. So we got 3 rounds left in the fight. Mr. Grunt says, looks good again. Somebody with awful footwork and lunging slaps. Yeah, you and Nikki both said like he's doing a lot of slapping. Yeah, he's just doing he's doing a lot of slapping and with his punches. So replay showing Jake Paul landing a beautiful uppercut. It showed Nate Diaz, it showed his combination he let off. So that was a good round for Nate Diaz. I would say that was his best round in the fight. Round 8 just starting. Jake Paul working the body. Jake Paul using his footwork. Nice shot to the body by Jake Paul. Jake Paul working the body. Double jab by Jake Paul. Jake Paul using his footwork. Nice left foot thrown by Jake Paul. Both guys fighting in the inside. Straight right hand by Jake Paul. Nate Diaz is just coming forward, with his guard up. Right now he's letting his hands go. Ooh. Nice jab landed by Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz coming forward, letting his hands go now. Yeah, Nate Diaz definitely trying to let his hands go now. Couple jabs landed by Nate Diaz. Jake Paul followed back with his own. Nice left hook thrown by Jake Paul. Ooh. Nate Diaz trying to come on hard at the end of the round. The referee is warning Nate Diaz about something. Nikki T, she says those punches aren't hurting Jake. Yeah, they're not hurting him. He said he don't got enough power to hurt Jake Paul. Again, man, I see a lot of people tuned in. And again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, man, definitely subscribe to that channel and hit that like button. And I was expecting to get a lot of views. I said both guys got a huge following. Jake Paul, he's doing his thing in the boxing world. 20 million subscribers on YouTube, so he's doing his thing, man. So the replay showing Nate Diaz was letting his hands go, throwing a nice combination. So we got 2 rounds left. So we're in round 9. Nate Diaz just backed up with his hands down. Nice jab landed by Jake Paul. Ooh, nice shot to the body landed by Jake Paul. Double jab landed by Jake Paul. It's been multiple times in this fight where Nate Diaz is just like turning his back, like walking, like he's ready to walk to the corner. Ooh, two big shots landed by Jake Paul. Like Nate Diaz about to go down. Left foot thrown by Jake Paul. Nice left hook thrown by Jake Paul. Little combination thrown by Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz letting his hands go, but he's acting childish, looking to the crowd. Throwing a lot of slapping shots. Nate Diaz letting his hands go, throwing combinations. Jake Paul using a lot of footwork. Nate Diaz letting his hands go at the end of the round. We got one more round to go. Yeah, I was expecting Jake Paul to get him out of there early, but it looks like this fight may just go to the decision. Again, next week we had Anthony Joshua versus Dylan White. That fight is now canceled, and Anthony Joshua is looking for a replacement opponent. Dylan White has obviously failed a drug test, but he tweeted and said that he had no idea about it or something like that. So I guess he's trying to clear his name. But yeah, I'm disgusted with Dylan White about this whole situation. So we'll get into that, after this fight's over. And it is a Showtime card next Saturday as well. All right, round 10, final round. Nate did just put his hands on the ropes, looking out to the crowd like he's tired. Jake Paul definitely took advantage of that. Jake Paul using his footwork, dancing. Uh-oh. Jake Paul just using his footwork. He's just switching it up, using his footwork, jabbing. Nate Diaz did the same thing. He went to the corner, he went to the ropes and just put his hands on the ropes, like basically just showing he don't want to fight. Both guys in the clinch. Nate Diaz throwing slapping shots. Big right hook thrown by Jake Paul. Nate Diaz letting his hands go. Ooh, throwing nice combination. Nate Diaz landed a clean shot on Jake Paul. Now he's throwing slapping punches in the clinch. Looks like something's going on outside of the ring. Jake Paul throwing jabs. There's 30 seconds left in round 10. Ooh, nice uppercut thrown by Jake Paul. Landed clean. Nate Diaz trying to fire back with his own shots. All right, so the fight's over. Nikki said he walks like he's from Compton. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It was just multiple times in the fight where he would just put his hands down and just like walk off, like basically like he was surrendering. You know, this was a clear decision win for Jake Paul. Like I said, Nate Diaz threw a lot of slapping punches. He did have some rounds where he was letting his hands go. I believe it was like round 6 or round 7 was probably the best round for him when he was letting his hands go. But this is definitely a decision win for Jake Paul. I see my guy Danny Davis. I think that's his name. He's like a cutman, and he does a lot of hand wraps. I believe he's from Philly. Like he works a lot of corners. You know, he's a good cutman. He wraps hands. And salute to Danny Davis. I think that's his name. But he's always in big fights. I see got a lot of people tuned in again, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. So my thoughts on the fight, I believe Jake Paul could really got Nate Diaz out of there. I think he was just toying with him and just trying to make the fight more entertaining. So, but props to both guys. You know, making an entertaining fight. Like I said, this is not the typical fight that I cover, but you know, it's boxing. So, like I said, I got mad family and friends out in Texas, so now I'm definitely gonna hit them up and see if it was, you know, if it was real busy out there, you know, if traffic was busy, you know, if it was a lot of people at this venue at American Airlines. Mr. Good says not sure. He wants KOs. He does want points, wins. He has an ego. Yeah, yeah. So they're announcing the decision now. Like I said, it's a clearly clear win for Jake Paul. So Jake Paul wins by decision. Yeah, but I'm just gonna chop up some other stuff, you know, before I close this out. So I want to give my thoughts on, you know, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. You know, I watched the fight 2 times, and I predicted for that fight. I predicted a 10th round stoppage for Bud, and he got it in 9 rounds. So I was off by 1 round. But Terrence Crawford is on another level, man. He showed that. He showed that throughout the whole fight. He was real good with the countering. Spence just didn't have anything for Crawford in that fight. So shout out to Terrence Crawford, man. He solidified his spot as the best 147 pounder in the division. So salute to Terrence Crawford, man. Far as what's next, I don't want to see a rematch at 154. I believe Spence is looking to activate the rematch clause, and I think he's looking to get back in the ring in December. But honestly, I don't want to see a rematch because to me it's no reason for a rematch because the fight was so one-sided. I mean, it was so one-sided. So Spence would definitely get a nice bag. He'd definitely get a nice payday. But that's a fight that I don't want to see because if the fight was competitive, I could see them having a rematch. But it was one-sided. So and I don't think that going up to 154 pounds is really going to make much of a difference. But far as going forward, if they don't have the rematch, far as going forward for Crawford, I definitely would like to see Crawford fight, Jermell Charlo after his fight with Canelo, win, lose, or draw. I definitely would like to see, Terrence Crawford fight Jermell Charlo. And if he can't get Jermell Charlo, I would like to see him fight, Tim Tszyu. Virgil Ortiz just having way too many health issues. Looks like Virgil Ortiz may be going up to 154 as well. But far as the next options for Terrence Crawford, if it's not the Spence rematch, definitely Charlo once his fight is over with Canelo or Tim Tszyu. And as far as Errol Spence, I would say Errol Spence should maybe fight Keith Thurman because Keith Thurman and Ugas were supposedly going to have a fight, but we haven't heard anything about that. So if Keith Thurman and Ugas can't get a deal done, I would definitely like to see Errol Spence fight Keith Thurman at 154 pounds because that fight was originally supposed to happen back in April. So at 154 pounds. So if Spence doesn't activate the rematch clause, I would like for him to fight Keith Thurman. But it's no reason for Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence to run it back. To me, that don't make sense. Nikki T, she says, fats. She says, I don't want to say it either. No reason. Yeah, it was just a dominant performance. When I watched the fight both times, when Terrence Crawford countered Spence with that uppercut, I didn't even see it happen. I actually had to watch the replay to see that Terrence Crawford land that uppercut. But Terrence Crawford is so good with that countering. And the thing about that fight, one thing I didn't like about what Spence was doing, he kept leaning in with his head down. And, Terrence Crawford is one of the best counter punchers. So it didn't make sense what Errol Spence was doing in that fight. He just didn't have a plan B. Errol Spence is the type of fighter, he likes to jab and go to the body, but he just did not have a plan B for Terrence Crawford in that fight, man. Nikki T, she says, I said he would do that. And then Nikki, to everybody tuned in, I don't know if anybody has seen this video about this doctor saying Spence was having neurological issues. I guess he was trying to say it related to the car accident. But here's the thing. Errol Spence looked good in his first fight after the car accident when he fought Danny Garcia. He looked impressive. Like, he looked very good after that car accident. And, people were saying that accident didn't affect him one bit. And, when he fought Ugas, he stopped Ugas. So he looked great in both of those fights after the car accident. But it seems like everybody just trying to make excuses for Errol Spence. Nikki T, she says he couldn't make the adjustments. And, here's the thing. Terrence Crawford beat Errol Spence worse than he beat Sean Porter. Spence beat Sean Porter, but Terrence Crawford beat Errol Spence worse. worse than he beat Sean Porter. Like his face was messed up, like his nose was bleeding, you know, his eyes were swollen. So, but Spence was a lot taller than Sean Porter at the same time. So, you know, styles make fights, but yeah, like man, Terrence Crawford just next level with it. Yeah, and a lot of people were trying to say that Errol Spence looked off. You know, he looked off when he was walking to the ring. He looked off during the fight. But you know, Errol Spence always did look high anyway. You know, but it's just like I just don't like all the excuses that people are throwing out there for Errol Spence, man. Uh, Nikki T, she says he was throwing slow. Yeah, he was throwing slow, like real slow. Rick Dot, who shout out to you? He says, when is Jake and Nate fighting? They already fought, man. The fight is already over. Jake Paul won by decision. You know, wasn't even a close fight. I think Jake Paul was just trying to make it entertaining. Wasn't a close fight at all, but Jake Paul won. Who shout out to Rick Dot? Appreciate you tuning in, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Nikki T, she says, yeah, a lot of excuses. Yeah, definitely a lot of excuses, man. That at the end of the day, you know, Terrence Crawford was just a better fighter. Nikki T, she says, I'm checking out. Thanks for the live. I appreciate you, Nikki. Appreciate you. You know, you've been rocking with me since day one. You know, appreciate it. You know, we'll be back on here again. Salute to my girl Nikki from Ohio. Yeah, but far as some other news, there was news that Chris Eubank, you know, he just hired Bromac as his trainer. So, you know, we got a lot of guys from the UK that's hiring trainers, you know, in the US. You know, you got Anthony Joshua, you know, he hired Derek James recently. We got Chris Eubank that hired Bromac. And again, Anthony Joshua versus Dylan White is not happening next week. Dylan White obviously got caught for PEDs. You know, he was tested and he got caught with PEDs. But he's trying to clear his name. So Anthony Joshua is looking for a replacement opponent. But the question is who? Like who can fill in for Dylan White, you know, on a short week's notice? You know, we've seen this happen with you know, when Josh was gonna fight Big Baby Miller. And, you know, Big Baby Miller got tested positive for PEDs, and you know Andy Ruiz filled that spot, and you know he was the first one to stop Anthony Joshua. So I hope they give you know Anthony Joshua a decent opponent. The question is who could it be? And I'm saying Big Baby Miller. He's all on social media talking about you know he wants to get in touch with Eddie Hearn and trying to make that fight happen, but at this point, I don't think nobody really wants to see that. I think that at the end of the day, everybody's just going to look at Big Baby Miller as a cheat. You know what I mean? Because he was caught with PEDs multiple times back to back. But you know he has returned back to the sport. You know he's trying to build his brand back up. You know he had a stoppage over Lucas Brown, but at this point I don't think that fight would happen. So I'm very curious to see how the situation is going to play out and like who's going to be Anthony Joshua's you know opponent for next Saturday. And some more news. I'm hearing that David Benavidez versus Andrade could possibly be a done deal. It's no official date or anything like that, but I'm hearing, you know, on multiple sources that you know, that David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade could be happening later this year. So, and that fight, I'm definitely, you know, I'm gonna go with David Benavidez. You know, he just got too much power. You know, Andre, you know, both guys only fought once this year. But you know, Andre, you know, just you know, with the promotion issues that he's had in the past, you know, turning down fights, he just hasn't been active, you know, really active enough, and hasn't fought enough big names. So, in that fight, I'm definitely going to go with David Benavidez. I got a guy in the comment section talking crazy. I have no idea who he is. Yeah, but far as some other news, um, Calvin Ford, Tank's trainer, and Bro Matt Rolly's trainer, they supposedly had a match. They supposedly had a match in Baltimore at a university. I haven't heard any news about that. I haven't heard who won or anything like that. But both of those guys actually had a match, in Baltimore and Calvin Ford's backyard. So I'm gonna definitely, look into that, once I end this live and see who won. Not nothing I was interested in, but I'm surprised they even really made that happen. Calvin Ford and Kenny Ellis, they both mentioned, since Tank's been released from jail, they both mentioned, he's been in the gym, he's been looking good. So I'm looking forward to see, what's going to happen. What's going to happen with Tank? I'm really anticipating his next move. As far as some other local news, Izzy Turner, if you're not familiar with him, he is a fighter from Delaware. He'll be fighting in October and at the Maryland Live Casino. He just turned pro, had his first fight at the 2300 in Philadelphia, and he won. He got the KO. So who shout out, Izzy Turner, turning pro and doing his thing. I'm definitely looking forward to see what's going to happen with his career. Also, some other local news. Dusty Harrison. He's supposed to be returning next month, I believe, and he's supposed to be fighting in Virginia. Dusty Harrison. He recently lost his father, so he's looking to get back in that ring, and I just hope that he's mentally strong. He's mentally strong, and we'll see what happens with his next fight. Dusty Harrison was supposed to fight, Demetrius Andre, but he had caught COVID, so that fight never happened. Or that was a fight I definitely would like to see because I seen Dusty Harrison fight live a few times years ago. He was a real good fighter. He is an undefeated fighter, but I believe he was robbed when he fought Mike Dallas. When he fought Mike Dallas, I believe Mike Dallas was definitely robbed in that fight. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it, an hour strong. I appreciate everybody, rocking with me. The fight was entertaining. I think Jake Paul was just making the fight more entertaining. I think he could have really got the knockout or stoppage, but I think he was just toying with Nate Diaz and just trying to make the fight more entertaining. But I appreciate everybody rocking with me. Again, I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen, with this Anthony Joshua situation and see who's going to be, his next opponent. So y'all know where I'm at, man. I'm on TikTok as the Legend 3347. You can find me on Instagram as the Legend 3347. I'm on Facebook as Ty Finney. You guys just witnessed the 29th live coverage and watch along on the In This Corner podcast. I'm out. I'll see you guys again soon. Peace.